Welcome back, family, to another episode. I just wanted to come on and share a quick message that was dropped on me that I wanted to share with everyone. So let me get straight into it with no further ado. The question was posed, or the question that I'm getting was, why would they be this high up? We've got people wondering how we got so high up in positions of ascension, essentially how we've been able to elevate ourselves spiritually. We've been able to elevate so differently than they've ever dared to, with no one to lead or guide us. So typically these things are taught in, if maybe you want to call it, secret societies, different sects of learning, different schools of learning and knowledge, obtaining information, right, on how to ascend, how to transcend the matrix, if you will, right? So that's what they didn't expect so many of us to wake up. Now they're getting nervous, right? Because the fear is they will get swarmed with so many of us becoming awakened to the mind F, or the mind control that is the matrix, right? That we've all been kind of contained in without giving it further thought, just operating in the systems and circumstances they've put in place without kind of thinking independently on our own, serving their businesses, serving their, just basically putting our energy into things that really don't serve us as a people. And you can look at this in numerous of ways, right? How we just go along with the educational system, how we just go along with the governmental systems that are in place, the judicial systems that are in place, all these different systems that we have in place. We kind of just go along to get along, right? But many people are waking up now, and this is balancing out the way that they have been able to operate thus far, right? Because for so long, so many of these things have gone unchecked, unquestioned, and now we are in the midst of a great awakening, and people are really taking a look at what we're doing and what we're devoting our time and energy to. We saw this with COVID. We were basically put in a situation to reevaluate life itself. What was more important, your job, your career, or staying home with your family or children? Some of us have had essential jobs where you had to go out, and that really took a toll on people because now you're putting your family at risk, right? So we've really been called into a space where we have been tasked with looking at how we value life, how we prioritize things in life, and the systems that we operate in. I believe that was the whole reason for COVID, right? Whatever your thoughts are behind it, we definitely were forced to take a time out, stop whatever we had going on, and take inventory of our life, take stock of our life, and see what was working, what wasn't working. People found their passions, their happiness, different purposes, things like that, explore different things in life. So it was a real eye-opening experience, and that, I believe, thrust a lot of people into an awakening if you weren't already on that path. And, many more are waking up the further we go, right? So that's what they did not expect so many of us to wake up. Taking what was theirs to begin with, taking what wasn't theirs to begin with, was something that they knew wasn't good. They know they chose wrong. They chose to err on the side of evil versus erring on the side of good. Now it's coming full circle, right? Well, we know there are many things passed through the DNA. All you have to do is look at the studies of transgenerational epigenetics, right? This is a study of everything that's passed through DNA and the genetics. They study this with animals, people, particularly they'll attribute it to what's passed through minorities and the suffering and the traumatic experiences and, the kind of triggers and emotional things that we have passed due to our trauma. But what's not talked about is what's passed through their DNA, right? If you know, you know. If you could read between the lines, you get what I'm saying. All types of things are passed through the DNA, even evil. And what we know is anytime we have evil or wickedness, we have heavy consequences, right? So the world as we know it, right, is changing. The world was never intended to be divided country by country, people by race. Now we're coming into a time where those with the heart of humanity will be called to lead. No longer will those who rule in a space of greed and who lack that sense of humanity, no longer will they be in a position to lead anymore, right? Because look where it's gotten us. Now is the time for the new leaders to step up and take their position to create a better world. True happiness, a better feeling all over the world, a sense of community, world community throughout every country, race, religion, you name it. A sense of togetherness, right? We are the world. It is our job to take care of it. We've been given dominion over this place, right? If you're a religious person, we are the only species with the brain capacity to create systems to either benefit or destroy us, right? So it's our job essentially to make this happen. And since those who were in power haven't been able to do so with integrity, looking out for humanity overall versus lining their pockets, now is a time for the leadership to change. Unfortunately, they have spit in the very face of religion, which calls for unity, love, compassion. What happened to love thy neighbor near and far, right? So, this is essentially the mark of the beast. Everybody talks about what is the mark of the beast. Is it chips? Is it going to be this? Is going to be that? It's the wickedness. So if the anointing or the oil of the Most High is love, compassion, unity, all those beautiful things, then the mark of the beast would be its antithesis. So lacking in empathy, narcissism, um, just operating in a way that is self-serving versus looking out for the good of all, which we should be doing, right? That's what we're here for, to benefit ourselves and the world around us, to make it a better place for everyone, especially the children, right? Is anyone concerned about the children? So where the things have gone wrong, right? And we all know this is new information. But by cheating those of color, creating an imbalance through food, lack of water, lack of resources, impoverished communities, boxing them basically into corners by way of jails, projects, poverty, like I said, lack of resources, lack of connection, right? Lack of diversity, lack of education, proper education instead of miseducation. Um, Basically cornering us into these situations where the mentality has become either you unalive others or be unalived, right? It's a dog eat dog type of world, right? Never have people of color been given a chance to be clear in life, get an understanding on, their wants, needs, circumstances, things like that, because we're too busy fighting to survive, right? So, how can you focus on thriving, your purpose, your calling, what you need, when you're too busy trying to survive, struggling to make ends meet, struggling to pay bills, struggling to get food for your children? Is an extreme situation of survival where you don't have the capacity to grow into your highest potential because you're definitely stuck on that, rat race of a wheel trying to get ahead and you're going nowhere fast. In these situations, you're never watered. And unfortunately, many are unalived before they can reach their highest potential. Most dreams are unalived before they can even be realized, right? So you can't even focus on what you dream or aspire to be or how you can use your gifts to contribute to the world in some type of positive fashion because you just have to go out, get any job that pays the most money to try to survive. This is not how things are meant to be. So there's a drastic shift already taking place. If you can't see it right now, you will definitely be seeing it coming forward. Like what Kendrick Lamar said, the revolution will be televised. So whether it's televised, well, it basically is on TV, right? We see the fall of, nations and the fallout and disagreement on how things are being ran country to country, right? The dictatorship type of energy isn't respected anymore. That kind of ruling with an iron fist, um, ultimately through that macho bravado type of energy is not the way we get things done in a way that is integral and beneficial for the world. It requires teamwork. Each country isn't its sovereign planet, right? We all live on one planet. So we have to learn how to work together as a team to make this place thrive, right? So those days and ways of operating are definitely over. The sun is out for all to be revealed. Basically, this is what was dropped on me. Just remember, don't try to crucify the messenger. um, Basically, we are fulfilling the prophecy of the Moses story. We were sent across the waters as a sacrifice. This is the story of Moses. This is the story of the African diaspora, right? Those of African descent who have experienced this travesty, I'll say. We were sent across the waters as a sacrifice, only to be raised up in the very systems we were meant to overturn and dismantle from within. We were marked from the beginning to rock the boat, to shift the waters, affecting lives above and below the surface, both physically and spiritually, to restore the balance between heaven and earth, to balance duality, to bring in, harness, and balance the Christ consciousness or the Christ mind, thinking anointedly, if you will, doing the good works, being good just for goodness sake, right? Intuitively becoming more connected and less concrete in our thinking, in our actions, in our way of being, harnessing better connections to the Most High naturally, and the planet and all its inhabitants we were given dominion over, right? So, what we have been able to do as a collective is ascend over the mind control that things have to go this way. We have to subscribe to capitalism. We have to subscribe to healthcare systems that don't benefit us. We have to subscribe to educational systems who are dedicated to miseducating us or providing us a bunch of needless information, not really getting to the base of what we need to know, nor the crux of the information. Where is this information coming from? The further that I study, it is quite concerning the levels at which we are miseducated, ill informed about things that were not taught and things that were taught halfway about. They have a saying, if you want to go faster, go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. If we want to go further, we have to come together, the world as a community. We have to stop buying into the divisive tactics and instead stick together to create heaven on earth for us all. This is how it should be. Home sweet home to us all. It is our home. The planet is our home. Like I said, each country is not its own sovereign planet. We all live here. We're supposed to be working together in tandem to make the earth thrive. We have enough of the power, the ingenuity, the access to information. We have enough people talented in a plethora of fields and understandings and wheelhouses of knowledge that we can make this heaven on earth a better place to be for all of us, to where everything thrives. We're not supposed to be so focused on money and credit systems and taxes and things like that. These are all man made constructs that are driving us not only into insanity, but causing our demise, right? We can't even focus on what we need to focus on. We have probably some of the greatest minds over medicated, undereducated, ill informed, just because people want to stay at the top, being the cream of the crop, getting all the money and all the benefits and having all the material things. But what they fail to recognize is the spiritual nature of things, right? We aren't just physical beings, right? We all have a spirit. Some people with calcified pineal glands, I'll just say that, if you know, you know, don't have that level of awareness. They lack that attachment, right? So that's why the shift has to take place. It has to balance things out. This is not intended to be a place of stress, but instead, what the Most High intended was heaven on earth, as above, so below, right? Where we're serving in our purposes instead of simply satisfying our own appetites, satisfying our lower self, the ego, the body, the flesh, right? Instead, what we should be doing is satisfying the spirit, the mind, the higher self, working with the Most High, getting in alignment, getting focused for ascension, to be on a higher path with a higher Christ conscious way of thinking, to harness that type of energy to bring heaven to earth, right? It's not going to be done for us. We have to do that. We're the physical beings to bring that into manifestation, to bring that into the physical realm from the spiritual realm, right? So we got to get to work. So this can be done, and by us reaching our ascension, the apex, right, of knowledge and information, seeking the wisdom, seeking the connection to ascend to Christ consciousness, to ascend to that higher level of being, right? It's not just a way of thinking. You have to actually apply the knowledge, use it as wisdom, and integrate it into what we do here on the planet. That's how we take it from a spiritual sense to the physical realm, right? So that's how we ground those things. You have to first get connected, of course, to the Most High, ascend through knowledge and virtue, apply the wisdom. So now, how can you operate in your highest self using your gifts to fuel your purpose, right? And funnel that into your passions. That is the goal. The goal is true happiness. The goal is heaven on earth. The goal is as above, so below, right? That is the message, guys. I hope you can take something from this message positively to apply to your life. Again, I always encourage you to do your own research, seek the information, seek the knowledge, seek the understanding, right? And learn how you can be aligned with the Most High, whoever you call that. Let's not get divisive. This is where people get it messed up. We're talking about the Creator who created all things, whatever name or gender or whatever you associate with that terminology, right? So I'll leave you with this, because for me, it's my personal opinion that for us to think that we know all that the Most High entails just shows our ignorance and arrogance as human beings, to think that you would know, you could even fathom. You only use, what is it, 8 to 10% of your brain. So the little minutia of brain that you use, you think you could really fathom all that the Most High entails? Gender, assigning a gender, a race, a culture, a religion. No, those are all man-made constructs. When we don't understand something, we have to try to describe it in a physical sense so the mind can grasp it. So when I'm talking about the Most High, I'm talking about the Creator who created everything. The sun, the moon, the earth, the stars, and everything here on this planet, right? Take the message as you will. I hope it resonates with you in some way. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe so everyone can get the messages, and hopefully we can find a way to get more people to awaken, to ascend into their highest selves, their highest path, into their purpose, to funnel into passions so we can create better systems here on earth. As above, so below. Peace, y'all.